Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Seek out challenging, interesting work. Now, I can admit I've been maybe where you are right now, where as a coach or consultant or small to medium business, you're often thinking about your work as a mundane process. And it usually sounds like sometimes you just go out and, network and find some work, and then once you find somebody who is willing and able to do work with you, you're hoping they give you a good brief. And then after that, you're going to work on that brief until the client likes it. And if they don't, then you're going to just keep repeating up until you get it right, and then you send them your invoice. Man, I don't know about you, but that just sounds like a dab or like pretty drab and soulless process. And you're just grabbing any work that comes your way, just trying to please the client and then billing them for your time. And it's no way to make a living, but obviously it might be enough to help you pay your bills and put food on the table. It might be the best that you could do right now. But man, I hope that you could change this. What if the process was something different, and you could look at it in a different sense, where you're going to go out, maybe find a prospective client, or clients are already coming to your website because you've marketed yourself, and then you're going to ask them to tell you about their marketing plan or whatever it is that you want to work with them. And then you sit down with them, you brainstorm with them like crazy until you actually get it right. And then you send, your best, boldest work, and you get the job done. And then obviously you're not going to stop grinning and laughing long enough to even forget you wanted to send the invoice. How different is that from the first instance of what a lot of coaches and consultants are going through? I mean, you're still making the same living the same way, but it's completely different attitude, okay? And this is not your fault. As a coach, when you started your job, you might have just, when you started your business, you might have just maybe left a job somewhere else, and, you're considering this to be now the way that you're going to be, earning income or things of that nature. And you may see the road ahead as if it's strewn with roses and it's all, milk and honey along the way. And you've got your best boss in the world, which happens to be yourself. And you now own your time. But unfortunately, like most roses, let me tell you what happens. Being a coach or consultant, life has its own thorny side, and there'll be issues that you will soon find that whatever you would have hoped your business and your career would look like, it's not what it sounds like. There's a lot of work. It's a lot of work being a coach, because you got to put out your consulting, your training, your information, your expertise, and your paid speaking out there. And not necessarily that when you have all that content ready, you're probably cold calling potential clients and having them maybe hang up in your face, and you're sending out hundreds of emails without even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out to us. And you start wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend without generating any qualified leads. And sometimes it can actually feel like maybe no one wants to buy whatever it is that you're selling. And when you actually rely on your business, like I mentioned earlier on, for you to pay rent and put food on the table, it can put an enormous strain on your emotions, man. You're probably just terrified, having to give up on your dreams and have to return on a safe 9-to-5 job with your tail tucked between your legs if you can't bring in any new clients. And It's not easy. We all understand that. You're supposed to be making a living out there, all right? But you gotta have a different attitude towards it, because people buy from people. So if you're not gonna show up and ask for interesting, projects, or seek them out, it's gonna be difficult for you to actually have a really good attitude all the time that you speak to clients. The reason why I'm saying this, obviously, yes, I'm excited. I just, made a $25,000 sale, not all in one hit, but it's going to be a retain throughout maybe the next 6 to 12 months with this client, and it's something that I just walked in, looked at their business, and I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is why it's important we need to do that. And this is what I need you to do, which is look after, this retainer over here. And guess what? The people were like, oh my God, we've spoken to a lot of marketers, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, okay, fun. Yeah, let's do that. So I've just sent them the invoice. As soon as that gets paid, that's an additional 25 grand to my income. I'm not about talking about money or anything else, but I just want you to, elevate yourself so much that you just don't take any jobs that come your way. And instead, I want you to become somebody who can write, who can design, who can code for a fee, and become a high energy problem solver. That will definitely put you above everybody else who is competing for the same attention that your customers are looking for out there. Now, I understand it's not easy for you to just jump up and become a high energy solver. You know why? Because the dream is not what it seems. Okay, whatever dream that you had when you went on to start on your coaching business or your consulting business, it's not exactly what you hoped your day-to-day life would be like. I mean, there you are in the early days of having, maybe you've left full-time employment and you're striking out on your own. You're full of hope. You've got all the people that are supporting you, and why not? You know what I mean? And then you have a whole new career ahead of you. You're already mapping out how your day is going to look like. You've already scheduled the next play dates or whatever it is, because now you've got the time, right? And it's all exciting stuff, and your head may be well full of dreams, but now you can, you've got to put in the work, okay? You finally do things your way, and no one can tell you what to do or how to do it and when to do it. But let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is the person who now has to do that is you. You become the janitor, you become the cleaner, you become the house maid, you become everything within your business, the accountant, you become the person that drives growth, you become the person who balances books, you become the person who manages new stuff if you already gotten there. You know what I mean? And this means coming down to earth, obviously with a bump. Okay, you need to discipline, yourself so you can work the long hours that are required for you to succeed. Yes, at work, you were only working 9 to 5, right? But now you are supposed to be working throughout, because everything lies and relies on your showing up every single day. So when you're building a young coaching or freelance business or, being a consultant, it can be a lot of hard work, and it's characterized by irregular hours. I mean, right now, every single day, I probably work up until 9 p.m., but I've already made it. You know what I mean? But there's always client work to do. There's always stuff that I need to look after. All those things that need hats for me to wear within the business. And there's always a struggle to get and keep clients. And there's usually money issues that come along the way. You know what I mean? But remember, I want you to remember, you're in this for a reason. You are not dealt or given a challenge that you can't handle. I mean, yes, you're going to be working hard. Yes, clients are not going to be easy to come by. And yes, they need to be treated well, even if you're tired, even if you're hungry, even if your kids are yelling at you or whatever it is. You have that vision of where you want to be, and you need to make a commitment to make it happen. All you need to do is just adjust your dream and accommodate reality. Like I said, you need to show up with a completely different attitude. Instead of being one of the thousands of coaches and consultants that maybe can write and maybe design or can put out content out there, you want to be a very, knowledgeable of whatever it is that you're doing, so that you can handle anything that comes your way, and you can actually start solving big and hairy problems, both in your business and in the businesses of your clients. And you need to have the same skill set as you did before, but instead of just waiting to do any old work, you now start seeking out challenging and interesting work. Because at the end of the day, who is going to be looking after all the hard hours that you're putting in? Who is going to be looking after all the stress, the turmoil, everything else that comes along with running the business? Okay. And one thing that you now need to do for you to be able to create work that matters, you need to basically be in a position to understand who you are and the value that you bring to the table. A lot of us are underselling ourselves. That's the reason why we then just settle for whatever work that comes our way and not actually get full rewards of whatever it is that we are putting out there. And as a result, you undersell yourself because it's all too easy. You just want to get a client. You just want to get the job done. You just want to, keep everybody else happy. You just want to put food on the table. One of the greatest temptations of a new coach or consultant is to undersell their talent because they haven't actually understood who they are and what they're actually bringing to the table. And a lot of people are doing this because they're unsure, they can get, or they actually believe their own worth, because they have no idea what they're actually worth. I mean, this is a bad idea because it can actually be a vicious cycle. I mean, if you don't believe you will get paid what you're worth, clients are usually happy to take advantage of that. They're not going to correct you and say, I think you're undercharging us. No, they're just going to take advantage of that. And then they are going to come in with more scope creep and then ask for more because you know why? They have room to wiggle to what their budget actually was. And you just gave them a fee that you think they can afford just by looking at them. So you want to counter this temptation fast by doing a few basic calculations, all right? You want to work out what you need to earn so that you can survive each month. I mean, look at your utility bills, your childcare, whatever it is that you need within your business to actually run. And also calculate how many hours you're hoping to work because who is paying you for all those late nights? And then you divide, the money that you want to earn by the hours that you're going to be putting in. And the result is how much you actually need to earn per hour and for you to actually get by without you having to scrap at the bottom of the funnel or, barrel, or actually just beg people to start working with you just so that you get some money coming through. And once you do that, once you know your hourly rate, anything that you get on top of that is profit. So research what others in your field are getting paid. And then sometimes you want to maybe check out, some websites or some forums and then just find out what sort of data. And if there's trade unions in the things that you're doing, it could also be helpful because then they can give you a benchmark of what you should be charging out there. So many people are undercharging themselves. You could literally go and get employed and you'll be earning twice as much as you're charging your clients right now. Yet you're getting all the pain. Yet you're getting all the stress of running your own business. I mean, you could also go on LinkedIn and just find out what people, that are sort of doing the same job as you are, that are employed, are getting paid, and try and start earning that much. And if you find that others are being paid much more or much less than your estimated, hourly rate, so you probably can then just adjust accordingly. Try not to go lower than somebody who's getting paid by somebody else who is paying you for taking the brunt and the risk that you're taking in order to run your business. And that's the reason why your attitude is low, because you're undercharging yourself. And if you're getting a lot more, well, of course, that's good. Just add on to the value that you bring into the marketplace so that it matches, just in case you feel like maybe you will get caught out. I mean, you've got a cost advantage. I mean, you choose what you want to pay yourself. You choose what you want to make as a profit. And if you're not sure of your figures, just find somebody who's an accountant to actually help you. But make sure you're paying yourself first, because you're the person that's doing all the work. You need to show up there and, have so much of a cushion. That way you'll be seeking out challenging and interesting work, not just any work just because you just want to get paid. And if you do the sums and you're getting a lot less, other way you find a way to maybe control your expenses, or go and work for somebody else who can pay you more if you don't think you can actually charge that much. All right? And once you've got money flowing in your bank, guess what? You now pick and choose what jobs you want to work on. You are no longer just spraying and praying with your marketing. You are now intentional. And people would actually come to you because they understand and they know that you're bringing value to them. So instead of just waiting for briefs, that you can work with, you can actually be creative before you even start writing or designing or coding or even working with the people, And instead of you maybe stopping as soon as the client seems satisfied, because half of the time people that pay less, they don't really appreciate what is being done. And you end up pushing yourself to do so much work, and you end up putting out mediocrity, and that then becomes that vicious cycle I was talking about, because nobody's going to want to hire you because you're as good as your last job that you put out there. So instead of counting the hours until you can send your invoice, you're so powered up by the intrinsic reward that comes, from doing great work. And then you even have to remind yourself to send an invoice, because you're doing work that matters, that is being appreciated, and you actually enjoy doing the work. And the more you enjoy doing the work, it shows. And when it shows, the world will take notice. I mean, seriously, look at what you're doing right now. Is it defining where you are? Is it defining your skill set? Is it really, making you do your best work all the time? And speaking about defining your skill set, some people undercharge themselves because they don't quite know exactly what they're bringing to the table. Have you created systems, processes, and, setups that your clients can actually use, that you can sell as a course, or that you can sell, without your even involvement? Because you can literally make money around the clock without you necessarily being in front of clients. I mean, sometimes it seems like your competitors have all sorts of wonderful accomplishments, that they boast off on their websites, and things that they've done, accolades, how big their teams are, and things of that nature. But you can't even think of anything that you think you bring to the table. Of course you do. You already have the clients. You already built your business. You already showed up. 99% of any success is showing up. So don't look at other people's, highlight reels and compare yourself against that, just so that you try and belittle or not even see the accomplishments that you have, achieved for yourself. And especially when you're starting out. I mean, it can be daunting to see the claims that others make, and then you may try to copy their words, or, try to emulate what they have done. You can never be, the same as everybody else, because we're all on a different journey. So if you think you're not bringing much to the table, just look at what you help your clients achieve. The best thing is, what are you embarrassed with right now? What are you struggling with right now? And what are you doing about it? I tell you, 9 times out of 10, somebody is also going through that same thing. If you can create systems, processes, and courses that people can follow, what you're going through, and also find out the solutions that you have done for them, you already have created a product which is far, much more superior than any standard thing that people are creating out there. I mean, a skill set is simply that existing knowledge and expertise that you bring with you from every source. You could be really good at, certain things. You could be really good at the coaching, the consulting, because you have personal experience. Some people have just got book knowledge. So in order for you to define it, you need to leverage everything you've done to maximize whatever value you bring to the table. And if you've got existing, maybe relevant experience, make sure your potential clients know about it. Whatever you can use to connect and create rapport to the people that you're going to be demanding money off of will help you. Because you know what? People like us do things like this. So think literally, like really, don't just look at, what you're bringing to the table. You can literally encourage people's dreams because you've walked on the path that they are on. I mean, perhaps you've organized a charity event or you've planned, a regular meeting. Even managing kids involves such organization and calmness under pressure. Bring it to the table. It will work to your advantage. I mean, maybe you're particularly honest. Maybe you're just passionate about your subject, or you're organized, or maybe you're just a natural born leader, or whatever you have brought to the table in the past. Let people know how valuable you are so that they can actually appreciate it, because people are not going to seek you out just necessarily because of how good the content you're bringing to the table. You know why? Everything that you can bring to the table can be Googled. So you need to search deeply, through your past experiences, and put together a set of positive messages about your skills, who you have become and who you're becoming, and try not to be a polished person. All right, you can tell people I'm a work in progress, and people will appreciate that more than you trying to become something that you're not. There's this statement, fake it till you make it. Let me tell you what happens. You will burn out. And I tell you something, burnout is a real danger, because you're trying to be something that you're not. And instead of just showing up as who you are, which is easier, because a lot of people will give you, credit for even trying. I mean, the day may come when you wake up and you find yourself, maybe you're fresh out of ideas and you want to copy other people, who have done much. Look at this podcast here. It's been a work in progress every single day. All I just did was sit down for 30 minutes. Now I can just look at a topic, look at what I've just done, and I can actually talk about it. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, but I've showed up, I've done something, and you can pick up a bit of information, even if it's one sentence, but it will change your life up until you make a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I mean, if you run out of ideas, you start burning out and you start trying to become what you're not. And maybe your mind is because your mind is a blank slate. Your energy is gone, and your problems seem like they're mounting up because of your ego. It's a state of mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion when you actually burn out and you start getting stressed. And let me tell you something, being a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, life can be stressful. Like we said, you're the one, marketing is just one aspect of running a successful business. You go from hiring and managing new staff, balancing books, driving growth, and a whole lot more. And all of it seems like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions. And that, my friend, will get you to burn out. So if you think you're in danger of burning out, just recognize the danger signs and find ways to manage the stress that's causing those problems. And because you can't do well if you're not feeling well. Remember, we're seeking out challenging and interesting work, which will then create the legacy that we want to create, which will then carry on, as a referral mechanism that's built into the work that we're already doing. You're not going to get referrals if you show up burned out every single time. And if you show up tired and your attitude is not that good, take control of whatever you're doing. You really need to take control. If you're working too much and, you have to carve out some downtime. You started this business by yourself, right? And it's for you, in order for you to actually, decide what hours you want to work. Not for you to burn out. Learn some relaxation techniques. Maybe you could start meditation or yoga, or even, just something, writing poetry or doing things that don't just relate to work. Do things that take your mind completely out of, whatever problems that you have, because you can't show up to a client meeting if you're already stressed and your jacket or your suit or your shirt looks like it's hanging on a hanger, And guess what? You always have to be looking for new customers. You always have to be talking to new people. So they don't know you. They are expecting you to be as energetic, and as enthusiastic about their business as they are about their business. And if you're not showing up and talking to new people, guess what will happen? Work can actually dry up unexpectedly. What are you going to do when that happens? I mean, everyone has bad patches. And they happen to the best of us, even the most talented people, for a lot of reasons. Like the last couple of years, work dried up, not because you didn't know what you're doing, but because of the pandemic. So sometimes it's something such as maybe a macro, something as big as national economy or pandemics or lockdowns or whatever it is. And maybe people are just not spending money, and it all filters down to you, especially in the marketing realm. We see that a lot. When markets shut down, people also shut down their marketing budgets. Or maybe sometimes it's personal things, like maybe there's, somebody in your family might get sick, or one of the major clients is being bought out or is going under, or they're now under administration, whatever. People may not buy from you for different reasons. They may die. All right. So you need to be preparing for when this work dips, more often than not. Always have irons in the fire. Make sure you keep a high profile on maybe social media where your clients are likely to see you, and you want to keep a regular check on maybe other freelancer sites. Network with your people in your area so that you get referral partners, things like that. Just don't die with the economy. Just don't stop marketing just because things are going down. And just like anything else, things are darkest before the dawn. I mean, though the list of issues that I've been talking about is grim, this is probably one of the darkest podcasts I've ever put out there. But guess what? It doesn't need to be overwhelming. We need to discuss these things, because today is actually one of the happiest days. I actually, like I said, sold a $25,000 service. But I know some people don't get to experience this side of consulting or even being a coach. With determination, you can actually make the realities work for you rather than against you. Don't burn out. Just make sure you're seeking out challenging and interesting work, and keep your attitudes high. And how do you do that? You just make sure that you're doing work that matters. All right. Make sure you're networking. Make sure you're out there. I mean, yes, you hit points where it just feels like throwing in the towel, when everything just seems to be piling up against you and you can't see the way forward. But these often have, these times happen just before the dawn actually comes through. There are many benefits of being a coach, a consultant, or small to medium business that actually help you outweigh all these possible negative things that I just mentioned. I mean, you do have far much more freedom and flexibility with your work, and with courage, commitment, and a bit of organization and a little bit of oomph, you can triumph. All right? And you can find yourself in a happy situation and having the lifestyle, the career, and the income that you're actually dreaming of. All right? Instead of just waiting for any old work to come through, be seeking out challenging and interesting work and avoid burnout. I mean, let's just recap, because maybe you might not have understood, because I'm touching on a lot more things. But to succeed as a coach or consultant, you just need to avoid the whole disenchantment that comes by holding onto your vision. Things will come and go. Market downturns and everything else will come and go, but you will still be standing. All right. Avoid underselling yourself by working out what you actually need to earn in order to survive, and research what your competitors are making in the marketplace. And pretty much once you've done that, avoid skill set blanks by leveraging all your strengths. You are a 360 human, okay? You are not just an entrepreneur. You're probably a dad, a brother, a sister, a mother, a father. All of those places where you've interacted with other people are skills, all right? Interhuman skills. That is what people actually, buy, that connection. Anything else can be Googled, all right? And once you've figured out all of that stuff, avoid burnout by obviously taking breaks and reconnecting with your favorite pastimes. Do stuff that brings you alive, you know what I mean? And sometimes there's going to be dry spells of work. If you prepare, if you network, if you raise your profile and keep in touch with, your clients via email or podcasts like this, you'll never run out of work. And remember, you'll be getting through grimmer realities, and you'll achieve many great benefits if you actually put your head down and commit to doing work that matters. Okay? I mean, you can use the advice that I've just said to make a foundation for a long, enjoyable career as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business. And if you really would like to take advantage of you creating a business that's profitable and enjoyable, and if anything that I said, struck a nerve, I encourage you to schedule a call with me so that we can have a look at what it is that you're doing. All right. So when we're on the call, we'll work hands-on with you to actually develop a strategic plan, and then I will deep dive and work through maybe your client clarity, because if you're not clear on the client that actually pays you money and actually stays, pays, and refers, you will burn out trying to chase people that don't even care whether you show up or not. And once we know who your ideal client is, we'll create strategic messaging to reach out to these people consistently, all right? And then we'll look at your consulting offers and your fees and your pricing. Why? Because it's important for you to get paid and compensated for all the hard work that you're putting out there. And if your business model is not set up for you to actually get paid that much, I will help you with business model optimization. And then pretty much I'll do what I'm known for best, okay, which is to help you set up your marketing engine and lead generation system so you can consistently attract ideal clients. Now, I really want you to create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. I really want you to stop being like the thousands of coaches and consultants who can write or design or create content, but suffering from burnout. I want you to become somebody who can use their skills and become a high energy problem solver. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with this information. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au